Aloha, welcome back to the screening room. Today we are going to be breaking down Marvel's newest entry in the MCU, The Marvels. All right, many of you know that I have been a huge fanboy of the MCU in the past. Okay, leading up to Endgame, I was getting all my pre-sale tickets. I was absolutely on fire about the franchise. Everything they did, I felt like was on the up and up. I couldn't wait for the next movie to drop. Then after Endgame, Phase 4 started to go down a little bit, but then it went back up. Went right back up. Spider-Man No Way Home was fantastic. But then, unfortunately, they started hitting us with a series of flops. They started oversaturating the market with very weak entries in terms of Disney Plus shows and other movies that were just kind of like blah. And I really lost my interest in the MCU. Now, do I still go see the movies? Yes. Do I hope they get everything back on track? Yes. But I really need an entry that gets me fired back up about the MCU. And last year was not the year for that. And unfortunately, I felt like they were going down a bad road. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a huge hit, but was that just a one-off? I don't know. But here comes the Marvels. Now, I have to say that I was not looking forward to the Marvels. Really, when the trailer came out, there was nothing that appealing about the Marvels to me. I wasn't excited to see the movie. I didn't even get a pre-sale ticket. And I didn't even need one because when I looked at the advanced sales, I saw that there was not a lot of pre-sales going on. You could pretty much walk in and get great seats for any showtime this weekend. So that was a little concerning, right? And then when the reviews dropped, the early reviews dropped for the Marvels, and people were saying this is rock bottom for the MCU, I was like, oh man, here we go again. Great. But then you hear some reviews that are like, oh, it's a lighthearted good time. So which one is it? Because they are just from 0 to 100 in terms of the Marvel. So I was intrigued. I went and saw the movie yesterday, and here is what I think about the Marvels. Is it a fun movie? 100%. I had a great time with the Marvels. I am not a huge fan of Captain Marvel. I thought that Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel was the decent show, but I really wasn't stoked about this movie. But when I went to go see it, it was a fun, lighthearted, funny, good time of a movie. I think your kids will like it. I think it'll put your kids back on track with the MCU. I even came back and told my kids that, like, hey, you might really like this movie. I know the last couple have been a little bit, flat and a little maybe too serious for you. Well, this one is a great entry. So there is a lot of action going on. Now, is some of the storyline kind of ridiculous? Yes. One of the biggest faults that I have with the movie is the villain, okay? I think it's like Dar-Ben. I have no idea who Dar-Ben is. And really, after this movie, I'm not going to remember who Dar-Ben is. Probably one of the weakest villains in the MCU. But really, this movie was just about the girls getting together, teaming up, and having a good time, and trying to save the universe from Dar-Ben, who really what she's doing is trying to steal planetary resources from everywhere that the Annihilator, who Captain Marvel, okay, calls home. Everywhere that she has some emotional ties, Dar-Ben is trying to get some revenge on Captain Marvel and go and steal that planet's resources and wiping that planet out using the hammer that she got from one of the predecessors in the MCU. Now, it doesn't really explain how she came across that hammer. We'll just leave that to be because who really cares, to be honest? But whatever, it's a powerful hammer. And then she also has the twin, what do they call it, like bracelet that Kamala Khan has, and she's allowed to absorb power and then shoot that power back at her enemies. So that's supposed to make her bad. Unfortunately, I just think the villain was kind of miscast in the role. It's very forgettable. Maybe a better actor or actress would have done a better job. Sorry, I don't mean to ever criticize someone's acting abilities because I certainly couldn't do better. But that was probably the weakest part in the movie. But other than that, I was actually surprised. I thought Brie Larson is really getting into the role of Captain Marvel. She did a great job. The scene stealer, though, in the movie is Kamala Khan. She is so over the top amazing. You just feel for her when she gets to meet her hero, Captain Marvel, and get to team up and go on this interplanetary, stellar, just super exciting adventure with her heroes. You could just see that fun and excitement in her face, and it just lights you up on the inside. And it's really cool in the beginning, the whole switching powers things and how they have to come to deal with that over the course of the movie. I thought that was really well done. A little not explained why sometimes that the powers would switch them, and then other times they would use a power and it wouldn't switch them. It was just kind of like, oh, we're commingled kind of deal. All right, whatever. It's the MCU. Do they drop like weird lines that you have no idea what they're saying? Absolutely. Okay. It is though a fun entry that made me excited to be back in the theater watching an MCU movie. I don't know where all this hate is coming from. Again, some of the ridiculousness, like they go to a planet where the only way they can communicate is by singing, and then the whole thing with the cats is kind of cute, maybe a little over the top, but it was a fun flick. Seriously, I had a good time with this movie, and I think you will too. I think it really kind of renewed my interest for the MCU. Really, once I came out of this movie, I legitimately looked up what was coming out in the MCU, and I was a little bit disappointed when I saw the lineup for 2025. Besides, like some of the shows we get Echo, but then we get Deadpool 3. But really, in 2025, the only movie I think we're getting in 2025 is Deadpool 3. Now, am I stoked for Deadpool 3? 100% I am stoked. And this movie definitely does set up for the future of the MCU. There is a setup at the end of the movie, which I will not spoil. Okay. Then the mid-credit scene is a huge setup for where the MCU is going. But there's only really that one mid-credit scene. After that, you can leave. There's really no post-credit scene to speak of. That's just going to be like a little soundbite thing. And I stayed for it. I'm not going to give it away for you, but it's really kind of dumb. You're going to want to leave and go to the bathroom because you're going to be ready to go to the bathroom by then. Post-credit scene. So just head out. It's not a scene. It's just a little soundbite. Don't worry. But I thought the CGI was better than a lot of the other movies they've put out recently. I mean, were there some shots where you're like, especially with the cats and things, like, yeah, okay, those could have been cleaned up a little bit, but it was never really disconcerting where it took me out of the action or really out of the movie. So I'm not going to complain that much about the CGI. I thought it was well done. I mean, I saw it in the big Dolby theater, and seriously, like, no issues with it. I really don't know what people want. Maybe we're at a point where people just have too many high expectations for the MCU. I don't know, because people are criticizing this movie like it's absolutely rock bottom, and I don't get it. Because even as someone who self-admittedly has lost interest in the MCU and then kind of got that back with this movie, I don't know how they could have done this movie much better. I really don't. I mean, it was just a typical Marvel entry that was fun. It wasn't overly long. They weren't trying to shove propaganda down our throats. We didn't have a movie that was trying to be overly comical to the point where it was like ridiculous. So it did take itself somewhat seriously. There never did feel like any sort of major implications in terms of the villain. It just wasn't set up that well for the villain. That's my main criticism for this movie. But I don't know what other villain they could have used. Who knows? But anyway, seriously, go see Captain Marvel and the rest of the Marvel team in the Marvels. I don't think you'll regret it. I mean, the person I went with, shout out to Tony, he enjoyed the movie just as much as I did. He's a little bit more of a fan of the MCU. He didn't lose his love for the franchise as much as I had. And he liked the movie. He really did. He was pleasantly surprised as well. And I spoke to some of the other people coming out of the theater, and they were all echoing the same thing. They were like, I don't get the hate for this movie. It's really not as bad as everyone's saying it is. I had a good time. So yeah, go have a good time with this movie. I would recommend that you go see it in theaters because there will be major spoilers probably coming out after this weekend in terms of the post-credit scenes and where they're going with this. So if you're a fan of the MCU, go out and see this movie in the theaters. It's one of the movies that you will enjoy more on a large premium format screen. So don't wait for Disney Plus. Go out and see the Marvels. You heard it here from me, folks. And until next time, thank you so much for watching this video. We would love it if you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more movie reviews. That would be fantastic. We love doing these movie reviews. We love bringing you all the content about theme parks and all the other great stuff that we do. So we look forward to giving you that content in the future. Like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, from the screening room, aloha, everybody. Peace out.